All right, quick recap. 2 weeks ago, we decided to go back to the basics for real estate deals. We have a lot of new real estate professionals joining every single day. Some have knowledge, and skills, but also a lot do not. You can allow. Whether you want to be a real estate agent, an investor, wholesaler, gator, connector, private money lender, anything, these skills, of course, are necessary and are crucial, of course, for your success. Okay. Today we'll be going over, rehab estimates. We have already covered comping and underwriting. Now, are we good on comping and underwriting from the previous days? After today, of course, we're going to go over offers, paperwork, and deal financing. So make sure to stick out for those as well. Oh, don't let me forget, guys. If any of you guys took on the challenge from last week, where it was to fill in the spreadsheet with a bunch of deals off on market deals from Privy, let me know at the end, and of course we can kind of go over those deals with you. But nonetheless, I'm gonna let's go into the rehab estimation as usual. Before we actually move forward from this specific stage, onto the next one for offers, I'm going to get all your guys' confirmation, unless, of course, I think I've given enough. But who in here knows how to calculate rehab, properly? And I don't mean just, cost per square foot. Does anybody in here know how to do that? Cool. Well, I don't need to really ask the next question. Who does not? So what I'll be showing you today is for, of course, single family homes, but also can be used for multifamily. It can easily be optimized or duplicated for, larger properties. At the end of the day, it's the same thing. And we're gonna kind of get into it. So we're gonna go over the basics of rough estimation, and then we'll go into a deep dive. Okay. Last week we kind of talked about it briefly, the different levels when it comes down to, let's say, the main rehab for quick analysis, and that's the cost per square foot method. So we have lipstick, basic renovation, full get, right? Those are typically the main four for any wholesaler, let's say fix and flipper, even if you're, let's say, buying a rental, you're going to use that as your basis for, your rehab. Now, I don't think that's enough. Okay, it never really is. That's meant for a quick analysis to see, oh, are we even in the realm? But that does not mean that you've given it all at that point in time. So we're going to break up each one of those. And then, of course, we'll go and go ahead and use, let's say, our calculator, which is a lot more in depth. And it's a itemized breakdown for everyone. Okay, so first off, a lipstick. What is that? So have you ever heard of the term lipstick on a pig? So basically, let's say you're gonna slap some paint on it. You might fix some floors or let's say carpet, and you're literally gonna give it and put a tenant in there, or put it back on the market. Okay, that's lipstick. Okay, typically that can range anywhere between, let's say, $15 and $25, a square foot. Really just depends on where you're located. If you're in Ohio, probably it's more towards 15. If you're in Florida, it's more towards, let's say, 20, maybe New York, California, 25. Who knows? Okay. Basic renovation. Well, it's going to have the same lipstick, floors and walls, but now you're going to add the bathrooms and you're going to add the kitchen. Okay. Now, the whole point of this, of course, is if you look at pictures, because that's all you got is pictures, is to be able to be like, hey, right away, I see floors need to be replaced. I see the walls need to be replaced. The kitchen's outdated. The bathrooms are outdated. That's a full basic renovation right away, without looking at any other major items, without looking at things that need to be demoed or anything like that. That's something major. Okay. So next one, of course, we have is full renovation. Okay. Full renovation is the same thing of a basic renovation. The only difference is that it includes a major item. What is a major item? Let's say you're going to change out windows. Okay. You're going to, let's say, do the roof. You might do the entire electrical needs to be redone. Correct. and maybe the entire plumbing system. So basically, it's a major item that needs to be done in that house that is addition to, let's say, your basic renovation. Now, this is where people kind of get confused because there's full renovation and there's full gut renovation. Full gut is basically if the house needs to go to the studs, right? So that's removing everything when it comes to drywall and redoing all that. Of course, the electrical, the plumbing could be needed to be replaced as well if necessary. But here's the thing. The full renovation is, let's say, $55 to $60 a square foot, whereas a full gut is somewhere 65 to 75. There's a major spread on that. So it's always really good to take into consideration that unless you know the house needs to be gutted to the studs, typically you're not really going to use that. A lot of people don't even target those kind of properties to begin with. Now we do in our luxury flips, right? We don't mind tearing everything down to the studs. Okay? In fact, we have fun while doing it. We'll take a sledgehammer and bang it out ourselves. But anyways, if it's going to be a regular rental, typically we're going to be doing some sort of lipstick to a property. Okay. Now, if it's luxury, now, of course, you're talking about higher ticket items, higher ticket neighborhood. Those numbers are all going to be skewed and a lot higher. Okay. So we're not going to talk about the specifics of, for luxury, of course, in this, but I kind of want to give you guys the broad overview first before we actually start looking at properties and taking a guess, okay, of what this might be. And of course, after that, we will actually deep dive into a specific property and break down every little detail of that property to make sure that we know exactly what we're doing. Okay. But first, you need to be able to look at those pictures and determine, what type of renovation is, of course, through those main rehab levels. Okay. So let's actually open up Privy and just find a random property. It doesn't have to be anything specific. Turn here. It's gonna make our life easier. Fix and flip, that's fine. Run search. Okay. Let's do this. So I want you guys to look at this house because you got to notice this property right here is well below, let's say, the ARV. Okay. And okay. There's properties around that are a lot higher. So right off the bat, let's just assume that our comps are completely renovated. Okay. Because we need to be able to understand a few things. If we look at this property right here, it doesn't matter the property. It's furnished, which means they're trying to sell the house. That's fine. But a lot of, like, notice there's carpets in this house. Bathrooms are from probably back from when it was built. Maybe a little bit newer. Outdoors, the landscaping is not in. There's not really done. Floors, tile, and carpet in different areas. And of course, you got the kitchen that's outdated. Old style of wood, appliances, same idea. And so right away, when I look at a property like this, I want to be able to tell, what type of renovation would I do to this if I wanted to flip it? Okay. Now, this is assuming that your comps are completely renovated. Okay. So in the chat, what do you think this property needs based off the 4 main levels of rehab, just by looking at this? And if I'm going too fast, slow me down. Okay. So basic renovation, right? This is not talking to an agent, not really determining what's going on in this house. You don't know what's behind the walls. You haven't done an inspection. So right off the bat, you could say it's a basic renovation. Now, if you were going to turn this into a rental, what would you do to it? So if you're going to turn this into a rental, most likely you're not gonna really do too much to the house. Okay. It might even be less than a lipstick. Okay. Because at the end of the day, is it in living condition? Can somebody live in this property? Okay. Yes, they could. Is it the most fanciest house in the world? Probably not. Is this neighborhood the best neighborhood? Probably not. So does it really matter if you renovate the property, up to, let's say, as if you're going to put it back on the market? Not necessarily. Okay. And so if you go back to the basics, well, there's lipstick, but that's $20 to $25 a square foot. That's a lot. If you're going to look for a rental, well, then maybe you might use anywhere between $10 and $15 a square foot, because it doesn't really need that much work. Now, let's assume all the windows in here need to be replaced. What does that now become? Probably more towards a full renovation, because that's a major item that needs to be taken into consideration. And depending where you are, maybe it's Florida, maybe it's in a different area, but like Florida, it's close to the water. Well, they probably need to be hurricane rated windows. That's why it's considered a major item. In other areas where the windows are cheaper might not be the case. So take that, like really understand the market that you're in to really determine what is considered a major item. Because if you're in a regular interior, let's say area, let's say Central Florida, you're not going to put hurricane rated windows. You're going to probably spend $250 to $350 a window versus hurricane rated or between, let's say, $800 and $1,200. So that's like a major difference right there. So we're going to consider that a major item for like this type of house, because it's, well, guess what? In Florida. Now, let's find a different house. Okay, let's use another house as an example. What's this? That's not a good example. Let's see. Oh, every wholesaler's dream. What kind of house would this be? Most likely, you're not going to renovate this house. Most likely, you're going to tear this thing down. Absolutely, tear down. Yeah. Let's find another one then. Okay, here we go. $500,000 house with outdated floors, kitchen. Let's check out the bathrooms. Like when I look at pictures, do you know what I want to look at? I want to look at the floors. I want to look at the walls. Right away, look at the kitchen, and I want to look at the bathrooms, right? To know if it's even been updated. So in this case, nothing's really updated. They have a pool. Well, that's a major item. Windows are old. Another major item. Outdoor kind of thing. Other than that, the house is still considerably in decent condition. It's not that it's not livable. This one's even more outdated than the previous one. But it's also, you can really tell that the windows were old in those pictures. And you can also really tell that maybe because there's a pool, that would be a major item. So what does this say in here? Sometimes they give us comments. Indoor pool, close to everything. Appliances are 2020. Roof is new, so we don't have to worry about that. Windows from 2020. I don't know about that. What's your guys' thoughts on these windows? Do these windows seem like they're new? Let's see. Are those windows new? What do you guys think? Maybe some of them are on the other side of the house. I don't think those are. 1 to 2 are old. Yeah, these ones look a little bit newer. So possibly, but they're writing that down in the description. You can't really just assume that everything in the entire house is up to date. Do some touches with your own taste. Okay. An investor's dream house. Okay. So again, this is probably a basic renovation, but it's got a major item. Is this pool up to date? When you get an inspection, by the way, make sure that everything is running inside a pool. If it's heated, make sure the heater works. If it, needs to be maintained as far as filtration devices and everything connected to it. Make sure those are checked properly, because those can cost $3,000 to $5,000 extra on a rehab, or just even for your rental. These walls right here, would you redo them or would you leave them as is and just cover it up? I don't know. Depends on what your exit strategy is. But either way, they are so pretty. I don't know about that. Everybody has different tastes, I guess. So here's my thing. With a property like this, I mean, look at the front door. I don't think really you would put a tenant in there. Parquet flooring. Yeah. I wouldn't put a tenant in here right away. This house definitely needs some work before you put a tenant in here. Unless you're okay with having just cheaper tenants. I mean, that's up to you. I would want to probably update this house. If I would, my main exit strategy for this would probably be somewhere along the lines of a flip. Just because who's going to take their time and actually renovate this house? Because if this is $500,000, well, what do the comps look like in the area? Well, doesn't look like we have comps. But either way, let's just take a deeper dive. Yeah, 900s, millions. They're a little bit far away, so we can't really tell. Fill the pool, convert square footage to livable space. You could do that. That would be a decent option. Now that's extra. Not a lot of people are willing to go that far. Anyways, a house that's $500,000 and everything around it that even pops up is at least 800 to 900 to $1 million. So like you could flip this one. I would of course deep dive more into the comps. But like now it's no longer a basic renovation. I would probably consider this more along the lines of a full renovation until I talk to the agent, right? Because maybe the pool needs updates and maybe not all the windows were updated. Maybe the roof, luckily they've said half of those things inside the description, right? So we already know some of the answers, but really we want to make sure and ask them and say, hey, do you have an inspection report already to answer a lot of our questions? Okay. But that would typically be somewhere along the lines of a basic to a full renovation based on that, after that discussion, of course. All right, cool. That's enough of looking at properties, okay? Because you can look at properties all day long and determine what they are. But I want to take this exact property that's right here and actually break down what it would cost. Because here's the thing. You can say it's a basic renovation and you can say it's a full renovation. You can also say it's somewhere around the range of $40 to let's say $60 a square foot, but you honestly don't know. So what do you do? Do you just, half-ass it and just use a cost per square foot metric, or do you deep dive and actually like take into consideration every little detail? This is a 3-bedroom. How many baths in this one? It's not even telling us. Let's see. It says a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. Okay. Based on that information, and that it's 3,000 square feet, that's a big house. If I were to renovate a 3,000 square foot house at, let's say, the average of $40 a square foot for a basic renovation, that's going to be a lot. Because the larger the property is, the lower your cost per square foot usually goes. There's a ballroom in there somewhere. Probably. So let's actually break this one up. Let's break this one down and actually like take this into consideration. So if you guys go back to the MLS outreach V4 spreadsheet, I added a new repair cheat sheet that we use. This one's a little bit different. You can kind of change the ARV range to kind of give you different numbers. So you can play with that. For now, we're going to stick to, let's say, the 600 to 900, because this is, let's say, anywhere between 800 and 900, as far as ARV. And if we're going to change a few things. This is 3096. We'll just update the square footage real quick, kind of give us some different details. So notice this is, again, this is not a full dive scope of work. Okay, that's something you do after you get it under contract, when you get your contractors on board, and you deep dive into every little part of the scope of work. This is just something you can use to speed up your process of being a little bit more accurate. Okay. Now, here, let me zoom in for some of you guys here. Let's just do that. All right. Now, if you notice right here, you have the option of opening this up, and you can always modify these details based on your particular area. Okay. So most likely if you're in Ohio and you're dealing with $100,000 to $300,000 houses, you might want to make these cheaper. I don't know. You guys like to do houses that cost, $90,000 to build. I don't get it, but sure. Update this information based on your area, based off what you're used to doing, and other contractors, other investors, so forth. Okay. But for now, this pretty much takes all the information that's here and sums it up for us neatly on this side. All right, cool. Let's look at this property. We're gonna go down it one by one. Okay. So clean landscape or new landscape. Well, what does this property need? Let's actually take a look at this. What does this need? Does it need to be cleaned? New? Okay. Okay. I guess you could put new, especially for the backyard. Probably want to resod it. But let's take a look at this so we can see the difference. Because if you're actually the one doing the project, you might decide to only clean it. It really just depends on what you want to do. Okay. But nonetheless, we're gonna number this. Okay. So let's just say we know this property has all the windows up to date. Well, we're not going to replace them. Okay. Based on what they said, they don't need windows. We'll have to confirm that, of course. Sliding glass door. Does this house have one? I don't think it does, but we can double check. Does not look like it, even though that's open. Okay. So we're going to skip that. Does this house need a new garage door? Well, is there even a garage in the first place? No, they just have a parking spot. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that either. Windows where the pool is out are the older ones. Yeah. Well, we'll figure that out, and then whether it's 2 windows or 3 windows, whatever, we can always add that and change that later. So we're not going to really worry about that right now. We'll keep that 0. So let's bring these all to 0 because we've already have some stuff in here. Let's just try to change this. Would you want to check the neighborhood to see if they all have garages if you are reselling? You could, if that's your exit strategy, to flip it. It might be a wise decision. You might want to even convert that garage or whatever space to be living square feet, right? Like you can do whatever you want with it. Like what adds more value to a house, a garage or square footage? Probably square footage. What costs more money to build? Probably very, very similar. The garage door would probably cost a little bit more. So permitting is another issue, but you want to take all that into consideration. Let's see, kitchen cabinets. Do we need to replace the kitchen cabinets in this house? What do you think? Replace or keep? Replace. All right. Countertops. Do we need to replace those? Are those even, they're not even quartz. Those are Formica. Something else. Probably want to replace those too. So that's not a light kitchen update. That's a major update. So we're going to skip the light kitchen update. Let's see. Full bathrooms, half bathrooms. So we said there's 3 bathrooms in this house. Well, how many of them are full? How many of them are half? Probably all of them are full, but let's confirm this is probably the master. Let's see what this one is. We can't tell. And it looks like they're only showing us, oh, here we go. Okay. Well, one master, 2 regular bathrooms. Let's just go with that. And then half bath will skip. Flooring automatically takes into consideration. Backsplash, probably want to put a backsplash in this house. Bifold. So how many bedrooms, how many closets do you think are in this house? If it's a 3-bedroom house, it probably has at least 3 closets. If there's a pantry somewhere, probably needs a closet door. So let's check this out. Can't really tell with these pictures. There looks like there's a closet there. Can't really tell, okay? So what do you do in this situation? Well, normally there's 3 bedrooms. Typically there's a pantry in the house or some sort of storage closet somewhere. So we'll just add an additional one for now. It's not that expensive, but you can always add on to it later. We'll call it 4 for now. A front door probably needs to be replaced. Interior doors, same idea. How many doors are there in the house? 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. That's 6 already. And you probably have one by the garage too. So that's probably more an exterior. So, or by the pool area, the back door. So we'll say 2 exterior doors, or 1 exterior, 1 front door. All right, furnace and AC. Do we know if this house needs to replace AC? What does it say? HVAC's 2020, right? So we don't need to replace the HVAC. Ducting goes along with the AC. Roof is, they just may mention it was new as well, 2023. Let's see, fans. Most likely if you're going to renovate this house, you're going to put one in each bedroom, maybe even one in somewhere else, like a laundry room. Maybe not necessary, but let's just say 3 for each bedroom. All new lighting. Depends on what you want to do in this house. What does the lighting look like right now? Let's not focus on the pool area. They got a chandelier here. You probably want to replace that. Same thing. Fans will be replaced. I don't know about that light system. So most likely you're going to put new lights in this house. It's completely outdated. So I would say all new lighting is needed in this. What have they done with the hot water heater? It's brand new. So we'll ignore that. Demo. Well, you're probably going to demo a bit because you're going to remove all this flooring and remove the kitchen cabinets, maybe some of the landscaping. Make sure that's in there. Cleaning, we're going to keep that. Appliance package. I would replace all the appliances in here. Would you guys, or would you guys keep it? Probably replace them. Fencing. Does this house have fencing? Replace, yeah. They're just as pretty as those walls, though. I don't know about that. All right, so this fencing here, don't really know who put it there, the homeowner or the neighbor. I would say leave it as is. This side, though, is different. Maybe you would want to put the same kind of fencing. For now, let's just ignore that because it's not, we're gonna decide that probably if we're gonna, when we do landscaping and really get a quote and really if it's worth it or anything like that. But this is typically by linear feet. If you know what it is, you would put it in. If not, just leave it. It's not the end of the world. Let's see, boat dock doesn't have one. Drawings and permits. So this is probably Hillsborough County. To remove a cabinet, and demo the floor, you're probably going to have to get a permit. To replace lighting, there's just, you got to make sure you understand that, the drawings and permits in your particular area and how much is it going to cost to hire an engineer and do all that stuff. But for now, I know for a basic renovation and then some, I probably want to pull permits. All right, additions. So I wouldn't really focus on any one of these except for maybe a little bit of drywall, because you have certain areas in this house you want to make it the same as the rest of the house. For example, that one bedroom. Now, this actually might be an addition to the house. I'm not sure. I would have to, double check that and confirm it and look at the county. But typically when they add these type of walls, it means it was added on afterwards. And it happens a lot. 3,000 square feet, who knows? I'm gonna have to drywall the kitchen. Why do you say I need to drywall the kitchen? You can unmute yourself. Because you're pulling the tile off. Okay, so yes, but you can scrape that. It depends on who's demoing it. Like that's where you spend more money or you spend less money on demoing, but you end up having to replace a lot more things. Here's the thing. It really depends on how you're going to put things back together. Okay. If you're going to demo this entire wall and put new drywall and then paint it just to put cabinets and backsplash back on, I mean, you could. You're spending more money that way. It also depends on, is this a luxury house or is this a regular house that you're just going to put back on the market? Like, what's your pride, right? At the end of the day. A lot of people would just take off those cabinets, take off those backsplash, scrape the sticky whatever, the stuff where it holds up the tile. They're gonna scrape all that stuff off, and they might or might not even paint the wall. Literally. Depends on what kind of flipper you are. Let's just go with that. For a house like this, I mean, if you're proud of your work, I would say, yeah, replace it with drywall. But if not, then don't worry about it. So we'll leave that out of the question for now, because it's not going to cost $10,000 to replace that small amount of drywall in the house, just that one room. You can add that as a contingency. You can add that on top, whatever you want to do. But we went down this list, probably took us what, not even 10 minutes. And, we got ourselves a rehab budget. Now, notice how we said this is probably a little bit more than a basic renovation. Yet, look at the cost per square foot. It's even less than a basic renovation. Now, of course, we could have missed something, of course, too. But think of it like that. The larger the square footage of the house, the lower the cost per square foot it is, typically. Okay, but you still only have one kitchen. You still have only 2-3 baths in the house. The flooring is a set price. Painting walls is a set price, and so forth. Okay, so that's one example. Let's look at another one. Okay, I want to find something that we can really kind of deep dive into, a different property. Okay, let's find something worse than this. That was too nice. Still could do some rehab. Okay, here's another idea of a house. Oh my gosh. That's a lot of shoes. Let's see. Let's take a look at this house. Like, what is it really going to come up to? If you look at this house, just the pictures, you think it's going to be something. It's a 1,200 square foot house. It's really small. Landscaping needs to be done, floors need to be done, kitchen needs to be done. Walls probably need to be repainted, bathrooms need to be redone. I don't know about this mess right here. You got a property for me? Let's look at it. How bad is this one? Is it really bad one in Miami? It's not too bad. Could use some love. Yeah, if there's stuff coming out of the ceiling, I'd be worried about the roof too. So I'm assuming it needs to be replaced. 3-bedroom, huge master bedroom, suite and second floor. It's 2 floors. Property was enlarged with permits. Tax roll shows as okay, whatever. Yeah, needs a new roof. Well, let's evaluate it. What do you think the renovation level is on this house? I mean, the landscaping is pretty decent. Looks like it's more interior work than the exterior. Exterior is pretty nice. All right, cool. So, I mean, it depends on how bad the leakage is from the roof, realistically, to really determine this. Hopefully the walls are still intact. This room's too dark to tell. Like it could be. So here's the thing: if you get a property like this, I would really need to talk to the agent and get some sort of inspection report, because if there's one leak in one side of the house, then most likely water went through the walls, everything's rotted. You might need to even replace the studs. It's like, who knows what's going on? Some rafters might be rotted out. Yep, correct. Yeah, this house, only because of this one area, like why did this happen to begin with? And then what is all affected? These pictures aren't exactly the best pictures in the world. They probably should have shown the damage more. You'll see the tarp on the roof. Yeah. And that's strange because let's flip this over. Huh. Also, is this part an addition, or is this just the carport? That's just the carport. I mean, usually this type of tiled roofing lasts longer, more expensive. So was it really just that, or did it happen, like, let's say after a hurricane or something and something happened to it? Second story is an addition. Okay, there we go. We got the answer to that. I mean, either way, it's at least a full renovation, this house so far. Okay. Well, let's break this down. Let's break this house down. So probably just want to clean up the landscaping. We don't really care too much about new landscaping in this house. Windows, unknown, probably say we need to replace them all. A house this size, 2,400 square feet. Let's just say it has 15, 16 windows. These pictures don't really give us an answer. I would confirm that on a phone call with an agent. How many windows does this house have? So I'm just going to put like 15 for now. And this is Miami, near the water. Probably needs to be hurricane rated. Sliding glass door, doesn't have one. New garage door. Carport. Kitchen cabinets, yes. What's the ARV of this one? Let's just figure out the average real quick. All right, 700 to 900. So we can keep this right here. Countertops we want. Master bath. How many bedrooms is in this? This is a 3-3 as well. So same idea, same conditions. Square footage is 2479. Let's update that real quick. Backsplash, bathroom, baseboards, bifolds, front door, interior doors, it's a 3-3, so it could be the same. Furnace and AC, do we know if that needs to be replaced? Probably, since it's it does, okay. So furnace and AC, a house this big. I mean, depends on how bad the damage is up top. Like, does the ducting need to be replaced? I don't know. I would say in that particular area where it got messed up, yes. So let's add that just in case. Roof. What part of the roof? I mean, would you how old is this roof? Would I replace it all, or would I keep it and just patch up that one area? It really just depends on how old it is. If it's older than, this is Florida, anything above, let's say 20 years on this type would probably need to be replaced. The entire roof needs to be replaced. Okay, good. So we know that. Now, square footage, 2479. It's probably a little bit more than that. 2600. It also depends on, are we going to put the same style roof, or are you going to use the general cheap one? All right, if you're going to go with the same style, then probably talking about like more like metal. Probably talking about somewhere between $7 and $8 a square foot. Let's just say $8 for extra measures. Fans, again, same idea, all new lighting, new hot water heater, probably. Demo, cleaning, fencing, boat dock, drawings and permits, garage, electric. Let's say HVAC, drywall in certain areas. I don't know if the plumbing or electrical does, probably not. Probably electric too. Let's go with it. Let's see how much it costs. So this house is going to cost, it's smaller in square footage, it costs more in renovation. But guess what? Your cost per square foot is $70 a square foot, which is still technically within range of a full gut, not even a full renovation. It's more. I know you're having fun with this one. But nonetheless, so if you are an investor, a wholesaler, private money lender, I don't care, right? And you want to use the average cost per square foot method, you still can. But here's the thing. Let's say you're a wholesaler and you send me a deal and you tell me it's a basic renovation. And I know I need to replace major items in this house, or there's no inspection done. You're going to look mediocre, right? Like, just think about it. If you came to me with an inspection report as a wholesaler, or let's say you came to me asking for money because I'm a private money lender, and you said, oh, I want to do this renovation on this project, and you don't have an inspection report and you don't know your numbers, and you're like, oh yeah, I think it's a basic rehab. We can knock this out. You're not sure. You're not sure. And so make sure you deep dive into your numbers. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Even this right here is not perfect. This is just a deeper dive into what to expect into a house. Because here's the thing, you can print this out and still share it with people. It's easy, but you can't share the average square foot. Oh, it's a basic renovation. I think it needs $40 a square foot. Cool. Private money lender probably doesn't understand that. They want to see some, graphics. They want to see some calculations. They want to see how you got up to that number. If you're going to give this to let's say a buyer, yeah, this is inside the folder, the usual one that I share. I'll put it in the chat. If you're going to you know, let's say you don't, and you give it to an end buyer, and they're like, well, how did you come up with your basic renovation? How did you come up that this house only needs $30,000? Because a lot of those deals, that's the problem. They'll send you a really good deal. ARV might be awesome. They're really good at comping. They're good at underwriting because they use the calculator that does it for them. But they get the rehab off. An example of that is, till this day, people still don't know how to send me deals for luxury flips because they can't comprehend how much I put into my luxury rehab. $400 and something thousand, $300,000 on a 2,000 square foot house, right? And so, like, know your buyer. But in order to know your buyer and what they want, well, you probably need to send them something accurate to begin with for him to have a conversation with you. So if you want to be better than the others, it's important to be more accurate. Do we have another deal that we need to analyze? And if anybody has a deal that made from the challenge from last week, they want to talk about it, bring it up to the stage. Let's underwrite it. Let's break it down for you. Anybody have a deal that's in here? No deals? That's boring. You guys aren't working on deals? I had one, I just walked. That's good. A lot of deals are terrible. Are we confident enough to talk about offers next week? Or do we need to evaluate another property? Break it down. Well, it's a calculator, right? The whole point is to make it easier for us to use, right? There's no point of using something that's inefficient. If anybody can use it, that means the barrier to entry is easy, which means a lot more people will start sending us better deals. And a lot more of you guys will start selling more deals as wholesalers and partnering with people for private money, right? It's like, that's the whole point of this entire thing. Because if again, you send me a deal and you're off with your renovation, I'm be like, well, do you not know basic renovation 101? Do these numbers match ones for a luxury property? No. Because there's other things that luxury properties entail. No, you can switch it to a luxury, yeah. But like, things are not in here, like renovation of a pool, larger landscaping stuff. There's boat lift, I guess. Yeah, you can probably use it for that. There's just a lot more things that are add-ons that are not on here that you want to take into consideration. Think about it. What makes a property luxury? Its amenities and its location. But are we going to be evaluating deals from now on using something like this? Or are we just going to go the traditional route? Because we just took an example earlier that a full renovation house turned out to be less than it was needed. Way less than a basic. And you would have probably passed off on that wholesale deal, locking it up. Because let's look at this real quick. I think we said it was like what, $20, $29 a square foot when we thought it was a basic renovation earlier. Let's just use an example on a previous deal. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be accurate here. If I see a deal that, let's say, needs a basic renovation and it's in orange, 74%, my MAO is literally $100,000 away from someone else. And then I know it needs to be a lot less than that. Well, let's just assume it was a lipstick then. Now it becomes a greater deal. You just missed out on a deal because you chose to just look at a property and not actually evaluate it. Of course, this is not really an example because it's too small, but you get the point. When it's 3,000 square feet, that makes a huge difference. Like, you'll literally be missing out on deals. I'm not even sharing my screen, am I? Let's see here. Let's share. So let's say I had a property that was 3,000 square feet, and I assumed it needed a full renovation, right? And right away, my rehab is 189,000. Let's just say, hey, their ARV is 500,000, or let's go with 800. 800,000. They're asking, let's say 600. And if you go with a full renovation because you thought it needed a full renovation, let's say you're offered 349, that's way too far. But if you actually did your calculation and instead of it being 189, it was actually 100,000. What does that look like? What's something closer? Looks like a better deal. Probably just override it, 100,000, right? The deal's still way better than what you initially thought it was. And so instead of you missing out on an opportunity for, let's say, wholesale, I mean, just deep dive, because think of it like an investor, a fix and flipper. We don't look at cost per square foot. We don't. So why should a wholesaler? Why should anybody, as a matter of fact? If you go buy a business, do you not look at their P&Ls? Look at every little detail and analyze it? Well, think of it as flipping a house, a business. We're just gonna abbreviate it and say $45 a square foot. We use that for quick math, but really you want to deep dive, because that's the only way you're going to be able to surely know what the property needs. And it's also sometimes going to make you have better deals. It's interesting how the bigger the property, the less renovation costs. Yeah, because the house doesn't have multiple kitchens, which is the major cost, or a bathroom or whatever. Like, those are major items that really affect the house. If the house is just bedrooms, which is literally 4 walls and a closet, right? Like, it doesn't really entail too much work. That's why the cost per square foot method is obsolete and does not work. Are we confident in our abilities to estimate rehab budgets? Just using a simple calculator like that makes a difference. Can I move on next week to offers? Go into practice. Cool. So next week, we're going to go over offers. Now, since we're doing MLS right now, we're looking at MLS deals. I will show you, because a lot of you guys already have built anyway, so, or whatever version of high level you guys want to use, I don't really care. I can show you how to do it in email, and I'll show you how to do it in the system as well, because it's already set up. It really is. And you could literally make a list of 100 properties right now and call them all to confirm the rehab budgets of them, and upload them all into the system and literally send all your offers at one time and let it follow up on its own. Like, it's really that easy. But I'll show you guys that next week. Unless you guys don't want to see that. But next week I'll go over that. If you know anybody that's struggling to evaluate deals and wants to get better, faster, more efficient, and doing deals or making offers or anything, have them join these Zooms. Because that's the only way they're going to learn, is them actually having somebody that's not going to talk and fluff around, that's just going to actually show you how to do it. Give you the tools to use it. Because that's the most important thing. I can give you a video right now for you to watch of me. Is it only sub2? No, it's not. But yeah, so I could give you a video on what is, what is whatever in real estate, but unless you take a resource and use that resource and get better at using it and, constantly do it, like I'm giving you the actionable steps. Would you rather me story tell and give you hypothetical? Or would you rather me just give you the exact know-how to do that right now? A lot of people want the storytelling though. There's a reason why my Zooms are only an hour and a half versus a lot of other people that are like 5-6 hours long. So anyways, let's meet up next week. In the meantime, if anybody has any questions or concerns, reach out. Okay, we're here to help. If you message and built, in the community, I'm sure someone will help you out. If not me, David, any other members that know what they're doing, or they can assist. Don't hesitate to ask a question. We have 380 something members in the group right now. Nobody really asks questions. That's hard to believe that no one has a question. But anyways, any questions in here right now before we end this? All right, cool. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys for being here tonight. As always, I will see you guys next time. Thank you all.